spot. I'm serious, just put like cameras everywhere. 24/7. Well, you make it. They make the cut. We'll never sell a house. Like, this would be fun. I like the idea. Random source. All right, ready?
You're live.
Oh, live right now?
Yep.
Okay. So coming to you soon, the ultimate realtor. We're gonna have 10 agents move in with us. I'm serious. It's a great idea. All right, so we have Relentless Real Estate LLC. Okay, next. I'm gonna do this. So our mission statement with Relentless Investments is to exceed our clients' expectations while providing outstanding customer service as we deliver the dreams of home ownership and the pursuit of financial freedom through real estate investing. And that's why you ladies are here, because we talk a little bit about that, leading others to financial freedom. Go back. Okay. So how to leverage your property to get financially free. Leverage on a house refers to using borrowed funds, typically on a mortgage, to purchase a property. When you buy a house or a mortgage, you're essentially leveraging your investment because you're using a very small amount of your own money as a down payment to control a much larger asset, which you're basically financing $300,000 with $10,000 or $20,000, and that whole asset's appreciated. Leverage can amplify returns of value. If the house appreciates over time, for example, and homes always appreciate 6.3% over time. Right issue. If you put down 20%, let's go to the next slide, Jeff. Next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. All right. So, for example, if there's anybody out there with one home, 400,000 approximately value, they have maybe 200,000 equity. So they pull out 80 to 90%, so 150,000. And you take that money, you put $50,000 in your bank as a savings or an equity fund in real estate. Just keep it making money while it's sitting there, because banks just lose money for you. 2 homes, if you buy 2 homes at $250,000 each, you have a $500,000 of additional assets. So instead of just having 1 home with 400, you have 2 now at 900,000 value. So your equity is going to appreciate with the tax benefits, with the principal pay down, $72,000 a year. Okay, $72,000 with the 900 versus just $32,500 with the 1 house with 400. We're going to skip. Go to the next slide. All right. So, for example, if you have 10 properties and they're paid off, because I have many clients like this, and they have, let's just an estimate number, $300,000 house. So 10 homes, you have $3 million. Versus if you leverage that and you take that $3 million and buy with 20% down, you buy $9 million of that asset. So you go from maybe $10 to 50 or 60, and you get 1 property manager. So it makes actually less headaches. You end up having an asset that appreciates. You put $2.5 million down, you keep $500,000, so cash, and you have cash, tax-free. So when you pull money into your equity, there's no tax, you don't have to pay any taxes. So you have versus having the 10 homes, $3 million at 8%, which is $240,000 is what they'll appreciate with annual equity of 6.3%. Tax savings and principal comes out to about 8%. Versus $9 million and having more debt. Everybody thinks debt is bad, but good debt is great. So Robert Kiyosaki, if you've heard of him, has billions of dollars in debt, and I want billions of dollars in debt. People ask me if I'll ever pay off the property, and I'd say, no, why would I ever do that? It doesn't, even if I'm wealthy and rich, you're always richer. You're safer, the more you leverage, you're safer. Because so Robert Kiyosaki has all this debt, and he obviously pulls out money, and he's got gold, and he's got other crypto and everything else. But if the market were to crash, he could walk away from his properties and buy everything cheap. That's why he wants the loans. Does that make sense? If your houses are paid off and things crash, you just lose out your money. So it's better to have leverage. You're safer with more debt as long as you're saving for a rainy day, right? And diversifying initially. So the concerns of most people are that rates are higher than usual, However, the cost of not making the decision is much worse than the rates, because you can see here, just this is a bigger example. So if you have one home for most one, 2, or 3. I talk to people every day that have 300,000, 400,000 equity. But the more you have, the riskier it is not doing this. Because if rates shoot up to 11 or 12%, your values come down. If the interest rates didn't go up 5% in the last 12, 14 months, your values of all your homes would have went up $100,000 each. So they basically rob you by raising rates. So the only thing you can do to protect yourself is to get more assets. It's the only thing, because long term, if rates keep going up, your values come down. But you have renters, and rents keep going up 10% a year. So when rates finally do come down, everything shoots up. So you're better off having more than less, no matter how you look at it. It feels safer having things paid off, but it isn't. Because if they raise rates, your values come down, they raise taxes and everything else. And let's say if you were in a position where you lost your job or something, and now you have to sell your house, versus if you have more properties and you have more revenue coming in, and you can sell a property or two versus if you only have 10 versus having 30 or 40, right? So it's safer having more. And you'll create generational wealth. So you can pivot, and if you wanted to retire or hire a family member to retire someone. I mean, there's lots of different ways, but the best move on the chessboard is to leverage everything you have. It's safer than keeping it in there. Everybody knows having equity or keeping $200,000 in the bank is a bad idea because it's only insured up to so much. And even that, the dollars loses 7 or 10% when if you keep it in the bank, it'd be 4. So you're losing a little bit of money. Another example. So 401k, I had a client told me the other day he put $500,000 in 401k 2 years ago. And I explained it, he told me he made $200,000 in 2 years. I said you have to count the cost of the depreciation of your money because inflation, so that $700,000 today is only worth $630 2 years ago because the dollar lost. So he only made $130, didn't that? So he only made $130. But then I took his $500 and I put it in real estate and he would have made $600,000. Because you're buying something, putting minimum down, and the whole thing's appreciated. So no matter what for most people out there, they're concerned about the interest rates being high, and they're actually under the national average. Interest rates throughout history average 9.2%. So 7 or 8% is still cheap. 10% is cheap because if you put it into real estate, you're making 40 to 50% on your money. Go to the next slide, show please.
Hey, I'm actually have a question. It says, what is too much leverage in real estate?
Great question.
Current market.
Okay, we go to the next slide. Great question. I'm coming right now. That's the next slide. Actually, go tomorrow. We'll come back to this one. We'll go over payments and how the loan. No, up one. Here. So go down. There we go. Okay, go down.
What's going on? So we were here.
Hold on. Go back up. That. Okay, this one. All right, hold on. So. Okay, so they're saying how much is too much leverage. So the only thing you can do wrong is over leveraging. You over leverage if you don't keep at least 3 to 6 months worth of rent for every property you own. That's why I had on this example pulling out if you have 3 million, if you sold 3 million of properties, you keep 500,000 in your bank, and you go and buy 50 or 100 units, then you have 500,000 to cover the rents or to live off of for the next 3 years. There's so many different ways to do it. If you're an individual that has 400,000 or 500,000 equity, I can show you how to retire in 3 to 4 years. You pull that, I've shown so many tools, you pull that money out, you keep enough, 50 to 70 grand, and you buy 4 or 5 homes, 3 to 4 years, they've all appreciated. And right now, guys, the other thing you have to look at, a lot of people think, well, what if the market crashes? They'll look at every reason not to do it because of fear. They'll look for excuses for why not to do it. So if the market were to crash, over time, you're still going to win as long as you have the cash to keep it. But here's the thing. The market cannot crash. They thought the market was going to go down and rates went up 5%. And I looked at inventory. We're at a 2-month supply of inventory right now. 6 months or less is the seller's market. So we're extremely low on inventory. They're not building homes as many people are being born or let into the country. So supply and demand. So I've been watching that number. We went up to 3 when we raised their points 5% a year. We went up to about 3 months supply, and price of homes and furs are still up 8 to 10%. With that, so that means they went up over $100,000 a year. But they took it from you. So if they wouldn't have raised rates, everybody's homes would have shot up there. People would have kept buying, and they would have created chaos because there would have been enough homes. So it's a really good time to own more properties, especially if anybody out there is sitting on properties and you have equity, buy more. It's like Monopoly, guys. That's how I got into real estate when I was young, playing Monopoly. It's really that simple. It's just logically, you have to look at the board you're playing with and do the numbers, and no matter, there's always the best move on the board. Even if you have properties paid off, that has enough properties, retired 2 years ago, 17 properties, you were there, PJ, and I was explaining to him how to sell those and buy 100 doors, and he would go from 500,000 appreciation to 1.2, and he's not doing it. And the only reason, I've gone over and over, and he wants to learn, but the only reason is his mindset of fear. He's comfortable, and he doesn't want to take on more risk, even though it's less risk to do this. It's less risk. It takes a little bit of work at the front end, but you can't make this kind of money on any other job. Like, you have to ask yourself, if you didn't make a move like the one I just showed you, going from, go back to the left side. So this one, from 3 million, so you're going from, right now, your properties, you have 3 million paid off, you're making 240,000 a year appreciation. But if you do it my way, it's 720,000. So in 3 years, you have over 1.5, 1.8 million dollars. So numbers don't lie, and leverage is the only thing you can do is over leverage. So if you took the 3 million and spent it all and ran out of money, and people, maybe 10% of them stop paying, you get screwed. I mean, you probably still make it in this case because you have enough doors. The more doors you have, the safer you are. All right, so let's go to the next slide. I wanted to go over payment, so real quick, because I know you guys are pretty familiar with this, Marcia. I think Marcia, so when you get a loan, this is an investment loan showing you a payment. You have principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, as well as mortgage insurance. I have another slide, I'll break it out. But if you scroll, this is on $300,000. So I have this example. So for a normal homeowner that has a little bit of equity in their property, they can buy $250,000 to $300,000 house. And by putting the money down, $73,000 approximately, your payment's going to be about $2,100, and you're going to rent it for about the same. So 2 to 3 years ago, it was better to buy. It's only going to get worse. Back in 2008, before the market went down, the first property I bought it out, my payment was $2,100 a month, and I can only rent it for $1,400. Property values will do this. It's going to do the same in the next 2 to 3 years. You'll be buying this $300,000 house for $2,600, renting it for, well, maybe $2,800, renting it for $2,200. That's what's going to happen, because there's nowhere else other than the prices to go up until we run out of buyers. And we're not going to run out of buyers, so having more properties is better. All right, next. All right, just a real big recap. I'm not just an average real estate agent. There's a lot of real estate agents. The average agent, 97% of licensed agents never sell a house. The ones that do sell 7 to 8 homes, statistically, and they are 3 to 4 homes a year. In reality, if they're working, it's about 7 to 8. So I was the top 100 agent in California in 2018, sold over 1,500 homes in 18 years. Financially free by 35, top 1% agent, 38 doors in the 38 doors in 3 years by 38. Most homes sold out of all the agencies guaranteed real estate, which was over 450. Sold new homes for the nationally number 1 ranked home builders since that's the year of So I've been trained by the best. I've been selling real estate for 21 years. You have to believe me. Everybody out there, you need to leverage. The only reason you're not doing it is out of fear and out of lack of experience. So the more you understand real estate and the more you learn it, you will have a better understanding. Next slide, Joe. All right, so I'm going to play this real quick. Go to that one. Before I play this, so we have been brainwashed to pay things off. We've been, and I'm just a little clip, but this is, you have to understand why most people don't make the move. And it's because we've been told to pay things off, put money in 401k, retire, and die happily ever after, of course. But this clip's going to explain how we've been brainwashed on paying things off, because you want good debt. So real quick, if you haven't seen this movie, it's a great movie, by the way. Focus.
You once said, legendary gambler, he bets on everything, huge cash bets all the time. Once in a while, with Billy Gates out of high roller speed, because Lee Ramos flying in, he is the perfect bet. You know who he was going to pick? You told him to. You tell him all day. From the moment he left his hotel room, we've been priming, programming his subconscious. He's been seeing the number 55 all day long. On the elevator, in the lobby, even the stick thing on the doormat. Not only that, he literally was out from the hotel tramp stamp for the representative for 59%, but very big.
All right, good.
Double is really happy.
Point of that slide is that we've been, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but schools, they teach you to sit still, get a job. We've been brainwashed to pay things off because and keep money in 401k. And then what happens is when you get older, a lot of people rely on that, and then it's just been taken away because people, companies wonder, and you really can't control what happens to 401k. So the older you get, the better you're off with your money in real estate. And honestly, it's actually 27 times more is what you make putting all your money in real estate versus 401k. So that being said, yes, diversification is okay, but for me, I just do all real estate. Everything's in real estate. So willpower is greater than physical force. Eradicate your faults by using your willpower. Slowness in making decisions is a weakness of willpower. So the reason I put this quote here is a lot of people, they'll hear the numbers. I had a client that 3 years ago, actually I met through somebody recently, but 3 years ago, he wanted to pull money out and he wanted to flip properties, and he did it. And I sat down and told him everything, showed him how by pulling out the same amount of money and $300,000 and flipping 2 to 3 homes a year, he's going to make $90,000 to $100,000. There's more risk involved in that versus buying 4 or 5 homes and just doing the bird method, buy, renovate, repeat. If you've ever heard of that. Basically, buying whole, because that's the key. There's less risk. You don't really want to flip homes with the interest rates. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Think about 2 or 3%. They say they're going to go down, we really don't know. So you want to hold on to properties. But this person that I'm talking about, the one thing he says is, it sounds good, but I just don't, can I do without going more into debt? That was the question. And that's how most people think. They don't want to be in debt. But you don't want your assets. You don't want one asset paid off. You want 5 leverage. You have more tax benefits, and we'll get more into that detail. You can ask me questions if you like. But basically, you have a depreciation of your assets, and you have real estate, so the more loans you have, the more you write off. So if you're working, making $152,000 and paying $30,000, $40,000 in taxes, you shouldn't be paying any money if you own properties. Unless they're paid off. If they're paid off, you have nothing to write off. So if you leverage and buy more, you have more tax relief. Every home that you own, you can depreciate and write off about $30,000 to $35,000 per house if you have a loan. So if you have 10 homes paid off versus 50 with a $90 million loan, now you shouldn't have. I don't pay tax. You shouldn't have to pay taxes if you have more properties with loans, because again, you're depreciating it and you're cost segregating it. And there's a video. You can click the link below. We'll add that video to cost segregation. 97% of people just depreciate the property because it's easier, but it's really not that hard to do cost segregation. Cost segregation is basically, the IRS allows you to write off when you buy a home, to write off everything on the inside of the home up front, and instead of just depreciating it and writing off maybe like 20 grand, you can cost segregate it and write off like 42,000. So, and most accountants don't even know this. I read a book on it, put a video on there because nobody really talks about it, but it's in the IRS. They obviously don't care if you're not using it, but it's there for you to use. So a lot of people are just losing money and paying more taxes, so you have to really get educated. And most agents don't even know what cost segregation is. You can ask them just like that. I had to read the book because it's not even on YouTube, so I put the video on. So check out that video. But basically, you know you should do something, but you delay doing it through lack of decision. It is easier not to do a certain thing and to do it because of the conscious says to do it. The vast majority of persons are failures because of, and no one take this personal, guys, but at the end of the day, people think the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And it is true because the poor don't get educated. You have to get educated and put action. I grew up poor, I became financially free. Anybody can do it. And I just learned how to sell things and properties. So the vast majority of persons are failures because of the lack of deciding to do a thing when it should be done. And you need a coach or an agent and a mentor to help you walk through this. But you can start off, for everybody out there, you can start off without any money. You can buy properties without any money. It's called subject to financing or seller financing, taking properties over, and I can teach you that, so click the link below to get your information. All right, next slide. So, banking and finance, overcome fear and mindset, leverage, we talked about taxes, we talked about first-time buyers, multi-property, or interest rates, we talked about that. I guess I should move this slide. Equity, we talked about, all right, next. If you, okay, this is big, guys. If you can change your mind, you can change your life. I have this thing in my law, all things are possible if you believe. The biggest thing that holds people back is their belief that they can't get wealthy. I have a lot of clients that have a lot of equity and that are still working when if they just restructure things, they wouldn't have to. Lots of them, so many. And I've tried to understand the psychology of it, and that's why I put the slideshow together, and most of it is a mindset. So, next slide, please. All right, hit it. Yeah.
So how do you overcome fear and worry, right? This is something we all experience in different degrees from time to time. So this is very easy to overcome once you understand awareness of the mind. Let's look at a simple view of time, right? You have the past, you have the present, which is now, and the future, right? This is a very simplified way of looking at time. Worry and fear only exists in the future. You cannot worry anything about anything in the past, it's already happened. But you can be concerned or fearful of what the consequences that may take place in the future. Fear and worry is future-based. Fear and worry is awareness leaving the present moment, going into the future, creating a situation that has not happened, coming back to the present and worrying about it. I'll tell you a short story that my guru shared with me. When he was 7 years old, this was in 1934 up in Lake Tahoe, his family was coming back in the car, and it was snowing really heavily, and he was really worried that he would miss his favorite, and started worrying about this thing that had not happened yet. Then he asked himself, are we stuck in the snow? And his answer was no. Are we still moving? Yes. And am I still on schedule to get home to watch my show? Yes. So what am I worried about? Right? And he said to understand awareness of the mind. Fear and worry is based on the fact that awareness is leaving the present moment, going into the future in your head, creating a situation that has not happened, coming back to the present and worrying about that or fearing that. So every time awareness goes into the future in an uncontrolled way, it creates a situation, right? So you can keep awareness of the future to think about things in a very positive way.
The reason I put that in there is because most of holds me back is worry and fear. But if you logically think it through, it makes sense. You guys have any questions or any more questions on it? You guys have any questions? Any thoughts? Any questions? Try to stump me. Any questions?
The idea is the tax money that we're free of that when we have no profits. And you get the money out of the houses that I pay out, they're paid out, so you don't have to put money from your pocket.
Yes. So
That's what I understood.
there's two ways. You could sell everything, which is the better way, or you could pull all the cash out and get loans on it, and then buy properties.
But
You can do it two
when
ways.
you sell it, they get taxes out of you.
No, So there's something that you can bring up. 1031 exchange is when you sell it, and then you have 45 days to locate and 180 days to close on the properties. You pay no taxes.
Oh.
No, so that's.
45 days is not too much.
No, it is, plenty of time. It's 45 days to locate. No, it really is. Because you're low, so if you were to sell multiple properties, the best thing to do is buy as many doors in one area. Because that's how you're gonna limit your risk. So there's no taxes because it's called swap till you drop, 1031 exchange. You just keep trading it up, and then when you pass away, unfortunately, if we ever do, because mine live forever now. So, and that's why people better do this, because if not, you're gonna be hungry if you live to be 120 years old. No SSI. So anyways, Social Security. So, yeah, so the tax question, yes, you pay no taxes. So, any other questions? Great question. Marcia, you have anything on you? Is there any questions? No? All right, well, I did a good job. Everything's in the slide. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Until next time. Let's see. What else? Hold on. Don't try to just keep it live for that. I'm trying to think of a few more things. So
the other one is equity line of credit. Oh, what is the line of credit?
yeah, so it depends if your properties are all paid off, you're gonna find you're just gonna refi and get a cheaper rate. If you have a loan on there already, then you're gonna do a home equity line of credit, because that keeps your low rate on your property, and then you just pull out a second on it at 9 or 10%, and then you buy more. The better move is to sell everything, because by pulling money out, you leave like 10 or 20, you're gonna probably leave like 20 to 30% of your cash in there, so you're able to leverage more, but you could do it either way. Either way is better than doing it that way.
So let's say I sell a property.
And you don't have to sell them all at once either, just so you know.
No, just one. It's like I sell one property. So I have to put the money in
Another property. So if you sell a house for 300,000, you take 300,000 and you go buy. I just sold a threeplex. I sold a threeplex for 500, took 100,000 now. So that means you probably could buy like an 8 or 10plex with that money, and now you're probably going to generate a little bit more cash. But even if you don't, the biggest thing is instead of 300K, now you have 2 million of an asset. 5 or 1.5.
I heard that the buildings now with like apartments, they you buy the property and it's old, you have to fix it according to the laws of California.
Sorry, I'm going to get you a mic, so the other one.
And they're real different now, you have to rebuild them according to the law of California to be able to.
The codes, like they're
code.
Well, I have, that's just so we're talking here.
Oh.
Just pretend it's just nothing. All right. So basically, there are more code enforcements when you have apartment. Like they're basically trying to make things keeping the code and really just charging you. But it's okay. It's okay if it costs you more fees, because you're going to make so much more by leveraging. So just an example, 300,000 house paid off versus buying a 1.5 million property. The difference on the appreciation is going to be instead of 20,000 a year on one property, you're going to make over 70,000 on. So that's you're making 50,000 more.
And many more.
Because your asset is because it's going to appreciate. Yeah. So and you have more write-offs. You don't want your properties paid off because you have no loans to write off. And so if you have 5 properties paid off, I'll give you a scenario. Who would you rather be? Would you rather be I'm gonna call it Marsha. Would you rather be Marsha with 5 homes paid off, or her sister over here, and she had 5, you inherited 5 homes, she inherited 5 homes, you left yours paid off. She sells hers and she buys 20 doors. Your value is going to be, let's just say, $1 million, hers is going to be $5 million. So in 10 years from now, if you look at every different situation that happens, whether your properties crash, I did this for BJ. properties crash and they go down 50%, in 10 years, you're still making a lot more money here than you are after the numbers, but you're making a lot more. So it's better to spread it out no matter what happens. If rates drop, your values go up more here. If rates go down, or if rates go up, the values both go down, and then they appreciate more here. So by having more properties is better everywhere. Yes.
So we got a question from Christina. So she said, what type of properties typically offer the best return on investment in this market right now?
Great question.
Currently I have about 50,000 that I can pull from my 401k. If what you're saying is true, pull it out and put it into real estate. Do I go straight for a home? What are the best options?
Great question. So with 50,000, you pull out 50,000 only, then you're gonna wanna buy the cheapest 150, 200K. If you're in Fresno, you can do that. And then investors think, wise investors think just numbers. They don't think about area. A lot of first-time investors do things they want to know the area. At the end of the day, you get better money in the worst areas. You want to buy something. So if you have 50, you want to keep at least 10 to 12 grand in the bank and spend the rest to buy something. And the only other way you can do it is invest that money and get an interest for your money in a company. I actually do this. I have investors that I buy homes and they'll invest money. So if you only have 50 grand, they'll pay $800 to $1,000 a month. So it's basically you're making about $4,500 a month, and your money's still liquid. You can move it, or you buy a home. So two ways. The only bad thing about doing it with just 50, it's still better than doing nothing, but you just have less cash to work with. But you should still buy something. You don't want to leave it in your house. You're better off if you have 100K and you can keep 20 or 30 grand and spend the 70. But even if you have 50, you should buy a $150,000, $200,000 house, keep 10 to 15 grand in the bank, and sit on it. In 5 years from now, I have a lady that bought a home, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 5 years ago for $130,000 and house for $250,000. And she sacrificed. She had like 6 people living with her. Most people wouldn't sacrifice. So that's the biggest thing. You just got to get uncomfortable and delay gratification to make it. Great question. Any more?
So if I, let's say, after line of credit, I have a house for, let's say, it's paid up, net worth 300,000.
Okay.
So how much percentage I can get line of credit to buy more?
So HELOC line of credit, if you live in the home, it's 90%. If you have it rented, it's usually 70 to 80. 70 to 80. That's why it's better to sell, because then you can put the actual 20 to 30. That's the only reason. But whatever, some people, I understand too.
And with 300,000, I can purchase maybe 3 houses.
More than that.
More than
So, because I just sold a 3-plex for $490, and he put 110 to 110,000 down for a 3-plex. So you'd be able to buy at least 10 to 15 doors. And when that lady asked, like, what's the best move on the board? It all depends on how much cash you're looking at. So the more cash you have, some people they have like $100,000 and like, well, I'm gonna wait and try to get maybe I'll get into storage, having storage units or having an RV park. Guys, you have to work with what you have. It's great to have all these ideas, and there's lots of different ways of finding properties and leveraging and doing seller finance. But at the end of the day, you need to put your money to work and make the best move. So if you have 100 grand, or if you sell one property, so the best thing you can do is sell everything, take all that and buy 50 to 100 doors and buy one thing in Fresno. That's the best. But you have to start somewhere. So whatever you're comfortable with, you just start off doing one at a time.
I would never buy apartments. I would never.
Why?
No, because I just that's a lot of work. I would never. That is not mine.
So
Yeah, no.
So
My husband, he thinks if you want to buy a house, you have to have all the money to buy it. You don't know anything.
That's the worst way.
Yeah, exactly. It's how we've been doing it.
I know, and
And it's been working fast, and we don't know anything.
you've been doing it, but just the hard way. And a lot of hardworking people do it. 90% of people are doing it the same way. Because
So I rather buy $300,000, buy a few houses.
Yeah, and you can do that. So look, there's some people that only buy single family residences, and there's some that only buy 50 or 100. You have to start somewhere, and really, the best move is the more doors you buy, it's actually easier, because if you have 50 or 100, you have one property manager, one handyman, and it's less headaches. But if you've been buying single family residence, you're just used to that, and that's okay, you can do that too. You gotta start somewhere. It's better to start slow than to not do anything. So yes, sell one, buy 3 or 4. If you buy single family residences for 300 grand, put 20% down on 360 per house, so you can basically do about 5 times 6 is 30. So you can do, you can do 4 or 5. And then in 5 years from now, you're doubling whatever, you're over doubling whatever you do by having to pay off. So if we get you to just do that one step, Marshall or high five, and she's gonna be selling homes, she can do it for you, but even in the meantime, I can help her, we can do it so she can learn. So whenever.
There's a question from Juan SK. Are there specific market conditions where over leveraging becomes more risky? This is about market conditions.
So the only way you over leverage is if you run out of money. So I over leveraged, I'll tell you 2 stories of over leveraging. I bought 8 homes with $80,000 and I made $400 in equity, but I ran out of money. I also had a lot of other things going on. So I ended up raising money, $50,000. I was knocking on doors, like raising money from traders. So there's a will, there's a way. Willpower, baby. Got a lot of it. But so as long as you don't quit, you'll figure it out. If you have a coach, having a mentor, someone that's done it and been through the war stories, is going to keep you out of the bags. You don't want to buy out of state ever unless you buy 50 to 100 doors at a time, because you're not going to you don't care about cash flow. In reality, you'd rather have appreciation. The best 3 states that are going to appreciate are going to be California, Texas, 4. No, actually, California, Arizona, and Nevada. Texas used to be. But those are the 3 best places. If you live in Fresno, you want to invest here. I should have been more patient, and I should have kept buying homes the way I was buying them. Creative financing, subject to seller financing, no money out of pocket, or using my loan. But I got a $2 million loan, and I wanted to put it to work, so I bought $1.3 million worth of properties. And then everything that could go wrong went up. Rates went up 9%. All the people I sent out there all left. Truck got told, everything went wrong. The loans, I was supposed to do 12-month. They gave me 12-month financing, a bridge loan. They were supposed to give me another 12 months, and then they didn't. So that happened. All these other things happened. But at the end of the day, I learned those things so I can teach you guys the best way of doing it is buying things here. And you can't over leverage unless you run out of money. So as long as you keep 6 months, I would just spend the money. I would get deals coming to me at once, and I would take the opportunity. That's when I learned that raising money is the best thing you can do. But people don't raise money out of fear of screwing up and messing it up. And that's why I went and spent my money on properties. Then I was more confident to get people's money because I already had the equity. But the number 1 thing to do is raise money. And I can teach you how to do that. Go raise money. If you have somebody with equity, you can borrow it, pay them, and I'll teach you. I teach you how to buy homes. But at the end of the day, if you have equity in your home, the only way you over leverage is if you can't make the payments. So the only way you can't make the payments is if you buy a rental property and you move somebody in, you get a deposit, your first month's rent, and you don't make a payment on that for 2 months. So you can really save up about 6 or 7 grand. You can almost save up enough money to cover the 6 months without any cash. So you just want to have 6 months because you can get them out in 3 to 4 months. And I've done it. I've heard of worst case scenarios, but I've done it, and it's been 4 months max. So as long as you have enough cash, and as long as you have a coach that can teach you how to raise money, you'll never lose. Because as long as you running out of cash is the only thing you can do. So most people do it wrong by keeping all their cash in their house. You need to pull it out and be disciplined to keep 6 months for every property you want.
Yeah, one of the next questions So what strategies do you recommend to mitigate the risks associated with over-leveraging?
Yeah. Raise money, here's what I was saying. Raise, if you have 100,000 in equity, pull it out, keep 20 to 30 grand, and buy a property with it, or keep 50 and buy a property with it. Then learn how to buy homes without money, and then raise money, borrow 50 grand from somebody, and pay them whatever you need to borrow the money, because you're gonna make 40 to 50% on the money. So you can pay 18 or 20%, it's worth it. That's why I offer all my clients that don't want to invest, I always offer them, I want to build a bank for investors that can keep money in my bank, and I'll pay 10 to 12%. Hard money is basically what that's called, while they wait for opportunities, and then they can pull it out short term versus getting 3 or 4%.
I heard that if you sell it after December, you have 6 months to spend the money that you got from a house that you sell. Or because in this 30 days, you can afford it, you can buy anything in that time.
Yeah, so 45 days is to locate a property, locate it, just 45, find it, and then it's 180 days to close escrow.
So how many months I have?
So you only
If I
have,
can sell the house and I got the money today,
yes, so once you put it in escrow, and you're in escrow, you're gonna close in 27 days, you can find a property there. You have another 40, you have over 2 months to find a property. So from the time that
to
you
spend that money,
what was that?
to spend the money
Spend the
that,
money.
let's say that $300 for the house that I sold.
Yeah.
So I have 2 months to spend the
2
money.
months to locate properties. The way
You
you
don't take property.
yes, the way you do that though is you just have to narrow down what areas you want, and then it's an investment property. So you're just looking for where can I get the best return on what's available right now. When you first start looking at homes, you might see 20 or 30 in an area, versus you're gonna have to wait 3 months to see the same amount. So you have the best opportunity to buy a property when you first start to look. Because you wanna look and see what's specific, and when you're buying to invest, you just wanna look at homes, you don't wanna look at homes that have been on the market for 1 to 2 weeks, you wanna look at 2 weeks and older, and you wanna put offers, 4 or 5 offers on one property, if you're trying to buy one. You put 4 or 5 offers on one property, and see who's gonna budge the most. I'm an expert negotiator. So, what was that?
So that way I put on the.
Yeah, because really, when you're buying, you wanna buy a home that needs floors, paint, nothing crazy, but you wanna do a little bit to it.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna make even more money on fixing it up a little bit. So if you can find a property that maybe needs floors paint, I'll give you an example. I had a client come to me, and she had an appraisal for 120 on this house about 5 years ago, and she wanted to sell it, and I told her, if you just put in, because as an agent, you wanna advise your clients the best way to make the most amount of money, so I always give them the best options. Hey, if you put in some laminate floors in a small little house and paint, it costs you 7 grand. She didn't want to do it, she goes, I don't want headaches. I go, all right, give me 90 days, I'll buy it from you, give me 90 days, I'll put it in, sell it, all you gotta do is one contract versus all the paperwork. So I did all the paperwork, I put in 7 grand in 2 days, made 25 grand on the house. So that's why you wanna buy something, So basically, to go back to your question, to make sure you buy something, you need an expert that's gonna be able to negotiate. Most agents out there only wanna put in one offer at a time, like 95% of agents will only put in one offer at a time. And this is what they tell me, is because I don't want a bad reputation of, I don't want agents to not like me if I'm canceling them. That's what they tell me all the time. They're like, okay, and I don't tell them, because they're my competition. But at the end of the day, I work for my clients. If I make my clients happy, there's not a lot of inventory. The last 7 years has been no inventory. So I'm always getting 2 or 3 offers for one client. If they like 2 homes, but if you're an investor, we want to offer 30, 40K low on homes that have been in the market for over 2 weeks or longer, and just see who's more motivated, because it's all timing. And you find somebody that's been on the market for 60 days, they just found their dream house, they really want to sell, and they take, so you put 4 offers on boom. If they're buying 3, we might put 15 offers on, you know what I mean? So you're not going to have a problem buying properties if you work with me and Marshall. Promise.
So I have 2 months, more or less.
You have 2 months to find properties. It only takes me about 3
I
days.
know you're putting fast.
3 days. 3 days. 1 day. I should tell 100 because you're not
So
buying.
much the next day, huh?
Because you're not. Yeah, right. 100%. Because you're not buying it for you to live in. You're just. even if someone moves here from out of town, I can buy a house, we can do it in 3 or 4 days. But if they narrow down what they're looking for, but if you're an investor, you just want something with a little bit of work in a decent area, and you're just looking at numbers.
What about, because they ask, the small houses, the cheaper ones, like for rent, they want, usually are asking for the whole money, the whole amount of money that they want, cash out. And there's a lot of those, that's why it's been so hard for us to buy more.
So I'll tell you, so what you do with that, I'll give you a couple of tips here. First of all, when you're looking for investment properties, you're gonna want to try to find smaller, maybe like, when I look at homes, I'll look at 30, and I go, I'm gonna just analytically, in like 30 seconds, analyze. I look at square footage, I'm trying to find properties that are like 2-bedroom, 1-bath, so 1,400 square feet, and then we'll convert it back with the wall and closet, $2 grand, we'll use that $20,000. So I'll look at all those, but when you're trying to buy a home and they have to have cash, if you want to buy it, I wouldn't advise any cash. What you do is you get a hard money loan if you're gonna make enough on the property. But what I would look at, so you basically it's cash. So hard money loan is private money, and so it's like cash, and they close in 2 weeks. The reason they want cash is most people think that cash is safer. I'd rather have cash, and there's more of a chance to get closing, no appraisal issues, no inspections, things like that. But really, when you're paying cash, if you work with an expert agent like myself, they're going to tell you that if you're paying cash, I did this for a client recently, they had a discount agent. So if you have a discount agent and you're working with me, I'm gonna save you a lot of money because I know they don't know how to negotiate. So we went 1,000 over asking price, and we got the offer, and then we got $20,000 off of it after we went in escrow because we negotiated. So sometimes you have to just get in the home. So if you're paying cash, at the client that bought the 3-plex, they had 5 offers on it. So we went 10,000 over to get the house, and then when we got an escrow, we ended up saving them, I think, $30,000. This was about a month ago. So I can negotiate. So sometimes you have to just get in and win the offer.
And then you negotiate.
The buyer has all the buying power, even if you remove all contingencies and you have a deposit up, you could say, I'm gonna cancel, send cancellation, just to bluff them, or you can cancel it because in reality, the money that you might lose by losing a deal, you're gonna make more somewhere else if you find more motivated to sell it. You're just trying to find a motivated to sell it. So when you put offers on and then they get it in
How much
escrow,
is the offer now? How much they asking? How much percentage?
for what?
For, no.
For sale deposit?
Yeah.
Deposit typically is 1%, so $150,000 house. It depends. Usually it's 1%, so about 1,500.
Oh, wow, 1%?
1% of the amount you're buying it for.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it's just a deposit.
It's not that much.
But no, and your deposit is safe because you have an inspection period of 17 days in most cases. If you cash, you go to 10 days. So you can spend the 10 days. We're doing this for a client right now. They went in, it was a probate sale, and probably it's not real, but basically they went in. The probate said, because they have 9 people involved, they said they'll go down to 430. So we went in, but now they wanted to get it for 420. So we're coming in at 410, where I'm gonna negotiate it for 420, where they're gonna cancel. But we tied up 21 days now, and they want to sell it. There's 9 people involved now. They don't want to deal with it. Put it back in the market. So you have more negotiation. So this market, it's better to buy when rates are a little higher than we're used to, versus if they were at 4%, you'd be having $30 on every house. So you have right now, investors have been buying the last 12 months more like 30, 40% than investors. So most first-time buyers are all scared, are waiting for the rates to go down, which it makes no sense to make emotional decisions because you have less competition. You want to buy when everybody's scared. You don't want to buy when everybody's buying because that's when it comes up. So if you're an investor, you have properties, you want to leverage and buy out because we will teach you how to save what you make a lot of money. Because we're going to look at properties that we can save money. We're willing to walk away from $1,000, $2,000 to go and find a better deal and save you 30 grand. It's worth it. But I haven't typically lose clients money because I just know how to negotiate. And I can read people, so we'll do the best. That's how I do it. And I'm going to train your daughter to be doing that. which is your license by hopefully next month. But regardless, we can start doing it now. I can teach you with you. So whenever you're ready, best to do it now. The sooner you do it, the more money you're making. So and we can do it one at a time. And I guarantee you, you won't lose your money. You won't pay taxes. None of that will happen because I guarantee you.
Actually, so,
Question?
yeah, it's actually a situation.
Alright.
So, he purchased a commercial property with a significant loan, expecting robust rental income projections to cover the mortgage payments and generate profit. Unfortunately, after the purchase, the property has generated negative cash flow, and the investor has to inject personal funds regularly to cover expenses, which is starting to drain the resources. He's needing an exit plan. What would you advise?
It's a good question. So commercial depends. It depends. What are the numbers like? How much are they negative every month? And well, the first thing is when I project numbers, I always say my numbers. But I know commercial right now is getting hit a little harder because a lot of people are working from home and things. So commercial. But if you would have negotiated a good deal, you should be winning. You should never lose because numbers don't lie. But if you're negative right now, how much equity do you have in the property? You might want to look at getting an SBA loan at 3 or 4%. So SBA loan, raise money, try to come up with a creative solution, maybe get a partner, and we can talk after the suit. If you shoot me your number or text me, I'd be happy to go to more specifics. It's a great question. Any other ones?
John Roden.
Did I answer all your questions, by the way?
I think so.
Good. I'm excited to, anything you have questions with, I want to. I know I've been trying to sit down with you, but you've been busy. And I've been trying to get you to retire, girl.
So, yeah, I got somebody that's brand new named Monica. She's been watching the live, she's loving it, but she's wanting to get her license. But should she get her license, or similar to what I brought up about my niece that asked the question, you want to follow up on that? So what does she do if she really wants to get into the market? What is the best way other than getting with?
Call me, honestly, call me and we'll talk, because getting your real estate license is a good start, but it all depends on where you are. If you're a hustler and you want to make phone calls, I say just start investing, and I can teach you how to sell and do it all. So call me, we'll connect. I know I didn't really answer the question, just because I got to know a little bit more. I got to know a little bit more about your situation. Yeah, I need to know, like, do you have a job, do you have cash in it, like, what is your situation?
It's on Snapchat. Snapchat Live.
Reach out, please, DM me, connect.
So, one time I sold one house.
Okay.
I purchased a house and they were really cheap. So by the time the years passed by, the government charged me for the amount after how much increases.
Oh, the taxes, are you talking about taxes?
Yes,
Oh,
the taxes
so your property, so when you buy a property?
was cheap. Let's say,
Yes.
let's an example. Let's say 100,000, and then when I sold the house, was 200,000. They charged me for 100,000 they increased.
Because, okay, so two things happen. Your property taxes are gonna go up. So if you have properties right now, your property taxes are gonna go up when you buy, but it doesn't matter if you're making more money with having more. So your part was when you sold it, they charged you taxes on the profit that you made.
Yeah.
But that's because you kept the money. You never wanna sell it. That's why when you flip homes,
If I should have invested, then
Yes.
not get it.
correct. So whoever your agent was back then, they're fired, and now, because you should never lose money. And if your agent was passionate, most agents don't know what they don't know, but this is all I do with real estate, so I just wanna know everything the best. So I always inform my clients, yes, you should have, none of my clients have lost money. So you should have bought something else, or you should have kept the house and pulled money out and paid cash. You should not, if you own multiple properties, you really should get, your whole goal is to not pay taxes anymore. You pay enough taxes, when you buy stuff, property taxes, everything else. So the system is there, so I didn't understand why you get all these tax breaks, but the government wants you to fix up homes and build, they don't want to do that, thank God, because they screw up everything. So they incentivize us with these tax breaks. So you would be helping people by selling your product. You sold yours, you're opening up people to buy their first home, and then you're gonna go and take over for somebody that has a problem, right?
So
it's like, yeah, we're all just helping and turning it around. So,
it's like the money, the rules.
see you on the next one. What was that?
It's like having money, you need to work the money.
Yeah, put the money to work, yes, and or they'll get work by the money, because that's what they're working.
So,
And I'm passionate about teaching people not to get jacked over by 1%.
hey, Marshall.
So, and in your tax rating, you know, if you need one, I know you have one, but if you want someone to help you with all that, because you gotta do your cost segregation and other problems, but you don't have, you're the pay off of it. So you don't have any tax benefits, so you get robbed.
Yeah.
You're getting robbed. And you just, so this is the best move, just sell one at a time and then buy something, you know, and just keep doing that.
Yeah.
And you will be a lot wealthier because your tax bill will go away.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you
Marshall.
for coming. Thanks for being my only client.
Marshall.
What, is it still on?
Yep.
Oh, what's that?
You want to close off?
Yeah, oh, I thought I already did.
No, that's just that.
Thank you guys for showing up. Hey guys, hope you guys got something from that. If you did, comment, like, subscribe. Make sure you guys show up to the next one. Until then, we'll see you on the next one.